In less than a decade, house prices in the EU rose by 53% on average. Rents have also shot up, with high living and energy costs putting further pressure on people's budgets. Cities have seen angry protests over short-term holiday rentals and the lack of affordable places to live. Europe's housing crisis means that for many, moving into their dream house remains, well, a dream.
If we don't act now, we will regret in the future. Bring back this debate at the core of the political and legislative action of the European Union and of the member states.
With its new special committee on the housing crisis, the European Parliament is working hard for decent, affordable housing for everyone in the EU.
There are so many things that we can do at the European level. I think it's a major opportunity to improve the lives of our citizens.
So how concretely can the EU help? What are the benefits of working and investing together on the EU level? To find out, I met the chair of the committee, Irene Tinali. So let's dive in. Ms. Irene Tinali, thank you very much for talking to us today.
It's a pleasure.
Why is this housing issue so important, and why is it now that it's time to act?
It has become very important in the past few years because what we've seen, what we are still observing, is a sudden surge in prices, both for purchasing real estate but also for renting an apartment or a house. So it has become increasingly unaffordable for many, many Europeans, way too many.
Maybe you can share with us some personal experience. How did the situation change since you first looked for a house to now?
I'm not sure that as of now I could afford to be a student in my city, in Milan. You know, when I was 20, it was already challenging to find a place to stay as a student. But I think today would be nearly impossible for me. And so I think that we need to think about that because we want the European Union to be the land of opportunity, of mobility, of students and young people being able to share, to live in different places all over the European Union.
You are the chair of a special committee in the European Parliament, which is dealing with the housing crisis.
Well, it was created exactly for this purpose. First, above all, to bring back this debate at the core of the political and legislative action of the European Union and of the member states, and try to think what is the situation, what are the needs, what could be the solutions, and what could we do at the European level to support mayors, governors, and regions to provide answers for the citizens. Second, bring more money. We need more funds. We need more economic and financial instruments that the communities, the regions, and the member states can use to increase the supply of affordable housing. And then we can talk all together on how to better regulate those aspects that have gone wrong, that have derailed and have made the market dysfunctional.
What do you think are the main causes of this housing crisis?
What we've seen in recent years is a combination of factors. Construction costs have risen up considerably. And then we've also seen different markets starting to use residential housing stocks like tourism with the short-term rentals. The increasing mobility of workers and students is a positive thing, but it has not been accompanied with specific targeted housing measures for students or workers. And the supply of affordable housing has been diminishing. Public authorities have decreased the amount of resources that they had put in the past into public and social housing.
Who, in your opinion, is the most affected?
Well, as of now, we have two types. The vulnerable part of the population who have always had problems in accessing affordable housing. So, but increasingly, the amount of people that are sliding into vulnerable groups like single parents, young couples, young professionals, so the middle class, workers that have average wages that have been eroded, for example, that's another problem.
The housing crisis is a reality we can't ignore. This seems to be the case to invest in what matters and do so together. What can the EU do concretely to help? How much money is available for tackling the housing crisis at the EU level?
How much money is available and how much money is needed, these are two different things. So on how much money is needed, of course, there are different estimates, but we are talking in the range of 200-300 billions per year to address all the housing needs in terms of affordable housing, social housing. We need the European institutions to be focused on and to discuss how to mobilize more funds, whether it is European funds, cohesion funds, but also how to mobilize private investments and channel them into projects for affordable housing.
Talking about where this money could come from and talking about the EU long-term budget, is that important or should we need more?
We need to fight to have dedicated funds also in the next multi-annual financial framework. So the budget of the European Union needs to think in terms of what are we going to do in the future. Providing affordable housing, it's not something that can last few years because families and peoples, they need long-term projects. Life is a long-term project. So you need long-term solutions.
Where does the responsibility lie between the EU and the national governments on the subject as housing?
Well, normally housing policy, it is a competence of the national governments, but the European Union has so many tools to help and support local administrators and national governments, first of all, by supporting them financially, by providing funds, matching funds or financial instruments, but also by providing legal frameworks, also to have cross-border projects, to develop a real European industry for sustainable and affordable construction.
What could be the concrete measures in the EU to bring the housing prices down?
We had a couple of months ago the midterm review of the cohesion funds, and we gave the possibility to member states to double resources dedicated to housing projects. So from 7 billions to 15 billions. Those member states that have this priority and want to invest more in affordable housing, they can do so and use European resources. We are also talking with the European Investment Bank because they have just launched a platform to attract private investments, to provide cheap loans so they can be incentivized to invest in affordable housing.
And when you say we, who are you referring to?
I think in terms of the European politics, European institutions, I feel we have a duty to think of our citizens and to think of also their daily lives. They are looking upon us and they expect us to provide answers and to do something for them as well.
You want houses to be green and energy efficient.
Yeah.
So why is that important and how that can help in this situation?
We know that we have to protect the environment, and we have to do that especially to protect the most vulnerable ones that have no chances to live in pretty and fancy neighborhoods. We know how much the energy costs have increased in the past few years. So the energy efficiency of the buildings, especially of public housing stocks, social housing stocks, to have them to be energy efficient means lower cost of the bills, lower cost of energy. It means overall more affordable housing.
If you could pass one law for the housing prices tomorrow, what would that be?
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Where we start?
We can't solve it with one law, otherwise we would have already done it.
What should be the beginning? What is the main one that you think should be?
I think we should give the flexibility to governments and municipalities to intervene to increase this supply. I think we should empower those actors that are operating already to provide affordable housing. There are sometimes areas where you have, neglected buildings that have been abandoned decades ago. They need just restoration, and you could have a brand new building building in less than a year if you want it, but sometimes it takes 10 years in permits, in authorization, bunch of things that I would really love to do in cooperation with the member states. But it requires a lot of political will as well.
Young people are among those most affected by the housing crisis. Eurostat figures show that in 2023, more than a quarter of young people lived in overcrowded accommodation. The latest Eurobarometer youth survey shows rising prices and the cost of living are a concern for 4 out of 10 people. Many have to stay in the parental home longer or delaying starting families because of their fears over housing. So, what is Parliament's message to them?
Make your voice heard. Don't think that it has to be this way. It shouldn't be this way. We are trying to do our best to bring this issue and this problem in the public debate, but we need your voice too. When we try to increase the supply of affordable housing, we need to include some conditionality to make sure that there is a proper share of this affordable supply that goes to the young people that needs it the most.
And does the next EU long-term budget, does it pay attention to these young people?
That's what I hope, that's what we will fight for.
Now, short-term rentals, they're handy when you're on holiday, but for local communities, they can mean fewer homes on the market and higher prices. Eurostat figures for 2024 show guests spent a record of 854 million nights in short-term rental accommodation booked on 4 main platforms. Short-term rentals seem to be the main causes for rising prices of housing. So what's been done to tackle the negative effects?
Real estate housing has increasingly become an investment asset. So we have funds, we have or economic, financial players that are investing in housing to make profits because they've seen the prices going up. The European Union has already passed a measure to increase the transparency. So let's see how that works, if it's enough to give the mayors and the local administrators the information that they need to better regulate short-term rentals, to better control and monitor to make sure that there are no illegal apartments on the market. We can think also in terms, how can we meet the demand for more tourists in certain places, but in a way that is sustainable, that does not affect the residential market.
What would be your message for the people who are really struggling with housing?
Don't give up. Keep pushing, voice your concerns. We are trying to do exactly this at the European level in the institutions and pushing the institutions and politics in general to deal with this problem. The problem is complex for sure, but it's not unresolvable. We should work all together to find real solutions and we should push all together for that.
So, in short and in one sentence, what's wrong with the housing market in the EU?
I think it has become too much focused on housing as an asset, as an investment, and not enough on the people that really needs a place to stay.
Repeat and complete. If we don't act now,
If we don't act now, we will regret in the future, both for social issues but also for economic issues.
name 3 ways the European Parliament can contribute to fixing the housing crisis.
Well, I'll name the first one, which is the next budget of the European Union. We have to fight to have more resources that are explicitly dedicated to housing projects.
Name the top 5 things you want to see in the EU Housing Action Plan.
More resources, more resources, more resources, more resources.
To help young people with housing issues, the EU should
Support more student housing projects in all the major cities and support affordable housing for young professionals and young couples.
What have you learned so far heading your committee?
Oh my God, I've learned that this is really a great emergency, but that it's never too late and the solutions are out there. It's up to us to provide the tools to make them work.
That's great. Thank you very much. The housing crisis is a top priority for the European Parliament. You've just heard some of the ways its members are working to address it and to deliver an EU action plan for decent, affordable homes for everyone in the EU. What do you think? Subscribe and let us know.